Imagine a nation made up of diverse communities, yet living with hidden tension and quiet suspicion, an atmosphere shaped not by choice but by strategies implemented decades before independence. During British rule in Tanah Melayu, the divide and rule policy structured the social, economic, and cultural landscape of our multi ethnic society. What makes this topic even more compelling is that Malaysia is not alone. Similar colonial patterns can be seen in other regions, including Sudan, a country still dealing with the long term consequences of this division today. Today, I will explain how the British divide and rule system created fragile ethnic relation in Tanah Melayu and how similar colonial legacies contributed to the modern conflict in Sudan. Now that we understand the historical background, let us look how the divide and rule strategy was implemented in Tanah Melayu. The British organized society by separating ethnic groups based on economic roles. First, the Malays were concentrated in rural areas such as Terengganu, Kelantan, and Kedah, where they continued traditional activities like rice farming, small-scale rubber cultivation, and also coastal fishing. Displacement kept them tied to rural livelihoods and limited their opportunities in rapid developing urban centers. Second, Chinese migrants were placed in tin mining towns such as Kuala Lumpur, Ipoh, and also Taiping, while Indian laborers were brought into rubber estates in states like Negeri Sembilan, Selangor, Perak, and also Johor. They lived in isolated estate housing with minimal interaction with other communities. This clear separation, such as Malay villages, Chinese mining towns, and Indian rubber estates, create a long-term social, economic, and cultural boundaries that continue shaping inter-ethnic relation for generations. Now that we understand how divide and rule shape the population in Tanah Melayu, let us explore how similar pattern contributed to conflict in Sudan. Sudan inherited deep ethnic and regional division from the British Egyptian administration. First, the colonial government prioritized the northern region dominated by Arab Muslims, while the southern and western regions, home to various African ethnic groups, received much less development and investment. This unequal treatment created long-standing resentment that carried into the country's post-independence era. Second, these colonial era divisions re-emerged in the modern conflict between the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF). The SAF, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, represents the traditional Arabs-dominated national army. Meanwhile, the RSF, led by Mohammed Hameti Dagalo, evolved from the Janjaweed militias, whose fighters largely come from historically marginalized Arab tribes in Darfur. The rivalry escalated into full-scale war in April 2023 after disagreements over integrating the RSF into the national army. This ongoing conflict illustrates how deeply colonial ethnic divisions continue influencing national identity, political competition, and armed violence in Sudan. Now, let us conclude by summarizing the key point. The British divide and rule strategy left a lasting impact on ethnic relations in Tanah Melayu. and similar colonial patterns contributed to prolonged ethnic, political, and military conflict in Sudan, including the war between SAF and RSF. Before I conclude, I would like to highlight two key recommendations that can help prevent these historical divisions from repeating themselves. The first one, society must understand colonial history to avoid repeating destructive divisions. Number two, strengthening intercultural understanding and ensuring fair political representation are essential for long-term unity and peace. Although colonial rule ended decades ago, its consequences continue to shape how societies interact today. A peaceful future begins when we recognize how strongly the past shapes our present and consciously choose a better path forward. I'm Zahrin Hanafi. This is the way.